Create a magical Christmas memory with a custom Football for Kids episode. Imagine the joy on the face of the receiver when they hear an episode about them. I will craft a unique episode all about them with the same care and creativity as I have with Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. There are just a limited amount of these available, so if you want to get yours in time for the big day, then head to www.footballforkidspodcast.com. Welcome to the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. It's time for part 2 on the legendary player that is Sergio Ramos. Before we do that, let's get into some of your shout outs and messages. And remember, if you want the opportunity of getting a shout out for your friends, your family, your teammates, your coaches, or whoever it is, you can either send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com or head to the website www.footballforkidspodcast.com. The first one says, "Hi, my name's William and I live in South Africa. I support Manchester City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich and Tottenham Hotspurs. I love your episodes on Vinicius Jr., Haaland the Goal Machine, De Bruyne and Neymar. Can you please do a part 2 on Kevin De Bruyne and an episode on Manchester City and one on Spurs? Oh, and a part 2 on Harry Kane as well." Well, William, thank you very much for being a listener of the Football for Kids podcast. And it's great to know that there's more and more people tuning in South Africa. And don't you worry, those episodes have gone on to my never-ending list of episodes, which I need to write. The next one says, "Hi Darren, my name is Sterling and I'm 11 years old. I just wanted to reach out to let you know how much I really enjoy your podcast." Well, thank you very much. If I could give it more than 5 stars, I definitely would, because it's the best. Well, thank you very much again. I play for a football team called Dorchester Under-12s Magpies, and we train at Dorchester Stadium in Dorchester, Dorset, England. Well, Sterling, a massive shout out to you. Thank you so much for being a listener, and I know that you've enjoyed episodes on Ronaldo, Mbappe, Haaland, Vinny Jr. and plenty of others. And the next one is for another person from Dorset, a boy called Leonard, who, I'm told, loves the podcast and listens to it every single night. Well, thank you so much for being a listener, Leonard, and that message came in from your dad, David. Right, the last couple before we get into this episode on Sergio Ramos Part 2 says, "Hi, I'd love a shout out for my son Harry, who's 8. He's a West Ham fan, just like his dad. Harry's favourite player is Jared Bowen, and he loves going to the London Stadium to watch West Ham in a Carabao Cup game. Oh, and of course, Jared Bowen getting the winner in the 88th minute of that game would have been a bonus, wouldn't it, Harry?" Well, a huge shout out to you, Harry, the 8-year-old who supports West Ham and went to go and watch the Irons. And lastly, a massive shout out to Parker Grimshaw, who listens to the podcast every single night. I know, Parker, that you have been smashing it in your football. I also know that your favourite footballers are Jude Bellingham and the legend that is Sam Kerr. We've got an episode on both of those players. Hopefully, you've had a chance to check those out. Right then, that's all we've got time for in terms of shout-outs and messages. But now, it's time to do part 2 on Sergio Ramos. So, we left the last episode with Sergio Ramos just about to leave Sevilla and join Real Madrid. In the summer of 2005, Real Madrid spent somewhere around 28 million euros on Sergio Ramos, which at the time was a record fee for a Spanish defender. One of the many things that was liked about Ramos was not only as a defender did he make some game-saving tackles over and over again, but he was a defender with an eye for the opportunity of scoring a goal. He scored his first tournament goal for Real Madrid in the Champions League game against Olympiacos, and by the end of the season, he had scored over 20 goals in total. Not bad for a defender when you consider there are strikers who don't score that many goals in a whole season. Now, for those of you that have listened to this podcast for quite some time, you will know all about the match entitled the El Clásico, the game between Barcelona and Real Madrid, the match which the footballing world stops to watch, and that both teams want to win more than any other game against any other team. Well, in Sergio Ramos' second season with Real, he was responsible for one of the goals in a 6-goal thriller. The Real fans were falling in love with this defender who was taking people out and scoring goals in huge matches. Ramos carried on doing his thing as the seasons went by. He scored more and more goals, he made more and more match-saving tackles, and he also built a bit of a reputation for being carded, which isn't a very good thing at all. In fact, he went on to be Real Madrid's most carded player ever in the history of the club. Sergio Ramos has received more yellow and red cards than any other player in history when it comes to Real Madrid. To say he's put a bit too much into some of his tackles would be a bit of an understatement. Despite his emotions and power getting the better of him from time to time, he's always been a leader and naturally been the person leading from the front. So in 2009, he naturally became the captain of the club. There was 4 of them at that time. Ramos was one of them. Another huge achievement for the lad from Sevilla. However, as a captain, the cards didn't stop. He continued to allow the emotions to get the better of him. And there was one match where it went terribly wrong for both Ramos and for Real Madrid. It was yet another El Clásico match. Real Madrid lost 5-0 and Ramos was sent off for kicking Lionel Messi. Not a good look for the Real captain at all. In 2011, Sergio Ramos and his teammates made history. They broke another record, a record that had never been broken and still to this day hasn't been broken. They won 100 points in La Liga for the first time ever. A couple of years later, Sergio Ramos was a major part of a team that got Real to yet another Champions League final. This time, it would be a Madrid derby for the most significant trophy in the world, the Champions League trophy. Real versus Atletico. Atletico Madrid were 1-0 up. The referee was about to blow his whistle. It was 3 minutes into added time, and then Sergio Ramos saved the day when he banged one in to take the game to extra time. In extra time, Gareth Bale scored, Ronaldo scored, and so did Marcelo. The game ended up being 4-1 to Real Madrid, and they won. Ramos got to lift that Champions League trophy, knowing it was him who was the one who saved the day. In 2015, Real Madrid found themselves in yet another Champions League final against Atletico Madrid once again. Guess who scored Real's only goal in that 1-1 draw that went on to penalties? You bet he did. It was Sergio Ramos, the defender with the goal-scoring boots. Real Madrid ended up winning that Champions League final on penalties, and Sergio Ramos was one of the 5 penalty takers to score and seal the deal for the club. At the time, he was one of only 5 players in history to score in 2 Champions League finals for Real Madrid. In total, Sergio Ramos played 16 seasons for Real Madrid, but injuries started to get in the way of him playing at his full potential. But after 16 years, it was time to move on. He may well have broken the record for the most cards, which isn't a good thing, but he achieved incredible things. 4 Champions League trophies, 5 La Liga titles, 2 Copa del Rey, 3 UEFA Super Cups, and so much more. Sergio Ramos left Real Madrid a proper club legend, and one of the greatest, if not the greatest captain the club had ever seen. Ramos went to PSG for a couple of seasons, but injuries were getting worse and worse, and he wasn't playing to the level that he had in the past. It was extremely frustrating, not only for the fans, but for him as well. He just wanted to play football at the standard he knew he could play football. After a couple of seasons with PSG, he returned to his boyhood club of Sevilla and played a few games seeing the season out. The perfect place to end his club career, if you ask me. There have been some conversations about him going to the Saudi Pro League, but I don't think it'll happen. Now, we certainly can't end this episode without talking about Sergio's success in the Spanish national side, because my goodness, has he achieved a lot for his country. Ramos was a part of a golden generation in Spain who went on to win pretty much everything possible. He was a part of a 2008 team who won the Euros. He was a part of a 2010 team who won the World Cup. He was a part of a 2012 team who won the Euros. He played for his country of Spain for just short of 20 years. He made 195 appearances and scored 23 absolutely fantastic goals for his country. Sergio Ramos, in my opinion, completed football. It all started as a kid playing on that square in Sevilla. He was hard-working, he loved the game, he persevered, he got on people's nerves for the right reasons, he knew exactly what he wanted and he was willing to do anything to get it. Sergio Ramos did it all. He won it all. But there is a lot to learn from his story and his journey. I hope that you've enjoyed listening and learning to this 2-part episode on the legend that is Sergio Ramos. And remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time.